Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program 2 video. Now, one of my favourite things to do back in the days of Kerbal Space Program 1 was creating miniature-sized missions. It's always satisfying using micro-scale craft that really feel like they shouldn't be as capable as they are. And with big rockets still wobbly as ever in Kerbal Space Program 2, I decided that now would be a great time to try a mini-scale mission. And why not do one of my favourite types of mission, Apollo-style Mun? The rocket you're seeing me construct right now is my best effort at making a mini-scale Saturn V. Now, it ain't perfect. Since we don't have the 1.85 meter wide parts like we did in Kerbal Space Program 1, the shape of the rocket isn't going to be very accurate, and as you may be able to tell, the lunar lander isn't very accurate looking either. But what is important is that this rocket has an identical number of stages to the Saturn V, and it has an identical number of main engines, though I could only fit 4 engines on stage 2, so oops. We have a 2-stage moon lander design, a 3-stage ascent vehicle, and crucially, the lunar lander has golden legs, so I would say all in all, I am very happy with this design. As you can see, I've just finished constructing the fiddliest part of this build, and that is the aforementioned lunar lander, and of course the Apollo command service module, but because this is mini-scale, we don't have enough seats for a crew of 3 astronauts, where 2 go down to the surface of the moon and 1 stays in parking orbit. Instead, we've just got space for the one Kerbal, who has got to do everything, from piloting the command module and piloting the lunar lander, and then somehow docking with a dead floating command module that can't, help out by doing the Lowne laser method of docking because there's no docking ports. It's all going to be pretty fun, and I didn't add RCS to the lunar lander either because I was working on a pretty tight Delta V budget. I literally just didn't have enough mass to spare to add RCS. So yeah, it's going to be a fun old time, I think. But as you can see, the rocket is now complete, which means only one thing is needed now. Launch it. So let's crossfade to the launch pad and do just that. Yes, bask in the sound of those 5 mighty F1 engines in the Saturn V first stage, or in this case, the 5 swivel engines that are here, pretending to be F1s. Although, to be fair, in my defense, Kerbal Space Program 2 doesn't have an F1 equivalent engine. Kerbal Space Program 1 does with the Making History DLC. We don't have it in Kerbal Space Program 2. Yeah, now you can see the finished rocket. You can sort of see what I mean in terms of it not really matching the aesthetic of the real Saturn V. The real Saturn V has got kind of 3 thicknesses to it. As you ascend the stack, you've got the thickness of the main first stage, the third stage, it then tapers a little bit thinner, and then it tapers thinner again as you get to the diameter of the Apollo command pod itself. I'm aware that I could have constructed a custom rocket body using fairing pieces, but I don't know, I've always found fairings to be a little bit glitchy in this game. I don't really know what I'm doing with them, and I just didn't want to have to faff around with fairings at this stage. And speaking of stage, we've just staged. Wow, how about that for a on-point commentary? And we're going to pan around in just a second and look towards our destination as we fire up the 4 J2 engines of the second stage. And yeah, the real Saturn V has 5. I just couldn't fit 5 Terriers on here, so it's 4 for this one. But yeah, there's the KSC disappearing behind us. The second stage of the Saturn V got the whole thing to nearly orbital velocity. Oh, blink and you miss it, but there goes the launch escape system. It gets us to nearly orbital velocity, and then the third stage does the final little bit of work. I don't think my version of the Saturn V here does as much. This stage doesn't get quite as far as perhaps it should have if it was truly accurate, but I'm pretty happy with, how this came out overall in terms of I'm actually ditching the stages when they're out of fuel rather than saying, like I normally do, we've got a lot of Delta V in this stage left over, but it'd be more realistic to detach it now because that's when it would have detached in real life. But there we are. We detached it with no fuel left, and now we have just shy of 1,800 meters per second in this upper stage here, which is going to be more than enough to not only circularize around Kerbin, but also get us on a trajectory that gets us an encounter with the Mun. And wait for it, our apoapsis is nearly past the Kerman line, or is it Kerman line? Is Kerman line even like the canon name for the edge of space? I don't know, but I feel like the fans at least have decided to call it the Kerman line instead of the Kerman line because those 2 words are too close to resist. And there we are. We have second stage cutoff and also video cutoff because, guys, I've got 2 words for you. Plushie acquired. That's right, Lowne Aerospace finally have our very own line of plushies. We teamed up with Makeship to bring you the Bean rocket with an astronaut that is absolutely not sauce and won't watch you while you sleep, I'm told.
Oh my god, where did he go?
That's right, you can remove the astronaut from the rocket after landing thanks to our advanced adhesion technology, exploring brave new worlds like stones, bins, nature. It's on sale right now for a mere $29.99 US, and if you're a silver level Patreon member, you get a 10% discount. Go and buy using the link in the description or pinned comment, but be warned, it's only going to be available for 21 days, starting right now, so this is a super exclusive opportunity to seize. But it's not just the exquisite embroidery, the smooth curves, the velvet yet aerodynamic finish that should convince you to pre-order. We need to assemble a space army. The Kraken has sold over 235 units as of the time of me speaking. This is not a drill. We need to sell even more to squash the Kraken and keep the solar bears safe. And because the brave astronaut is flying a freaking rocket, he can travel anywhere in the world, which means worldwide shipping to all who choose to pick one up. Act now while you still can. And when the plushies start shipping and litter breaking into your homes, I'll be running a competition on my Discord server where you can post a photo of your rocket and astronaut landed somewhere, and whoever sends their astronaut to the coolest destination will win a free copy of Kerbal's Space Program 2. So what are you waiting for? Click that link below. Oh, sorry, I blacked out for a second. What happened? Are we back? Are we still in space? Okay, there's my amazing segue back into the video. Yeah, guys, I am like super happy with the plushie design. I did a few backs and forths with the designers, and I love it. I obviously own one, and I bought some more as well. Yeah, love it. So if you want to buy a plushie, then you can buy it in the description. But it's the only time it's ever going to be available. So yeah, I'm done shilling now. You guys have seen the advert. Hopefully you enjoyed the ad. I certainly had fun making it. I'm still talking about it. Look at that. But yes, here we are in a parking orbit around Kerbin. Our next step in the mission is to set the Mun as our target and create a maneuver plan that's going to get us there. Now, the real Apollo missions, they did a thing called the free return trajectory, wherein their trajectory would be such that in the event of engine failure, or the engine wouldn't relight to circularize around the moon, they wouldn't just drift off into deep space or be left stranded in high Earth orbit. The moon would instead slingshot them back to Earth, and they would just re-enter without needing to relight their engine again. But I'm not going to do that, because I wanted to ensure that the second stage would harmlessly crash into the surface of the Mun and not leave debris in space, which is not the case for Apollo 11, but I'm pretty sure Apollo 13 and onwards, that is what they did, so I've not really left any real reason to justify not doing a free return trajectory. But again, it's not an accurate recreation, I don't know if you noticed, but there's just Jebediah Kerman on board, and the lunar lander, the seat is right there next to him. It's a lawn chair strapped to a fuel tank. By the way, guys, I feel like I should just mention that there was a bit of an audio glitch when I was recording this video. Well, it was fine when I was recording the video, but then when I took the recorded footage, all of the audio and video was out of sync, so I've had to sort of manually synchronize it all up in my video editing software. So I'm hoping I got it right, and I didn't need to even give you this explanation because it was all perfect. But just in case there were any weird, like, oh, why did the sound effect happen when there's nothing happening on screen that would create that sound effect? Well, that's why I might have just not done a completely perfect job fixing the sound, but I like to think that I did. Anyway, I had a bit of a problem here where I right-clicked the lunar lander's docking port to set it as our target, and I just couldn't. It wasn't an option in the parts manager for some reason. So I said, oh, you know what? I can fly by eye. I'm a pro at this game. I'll show my audience just how great I am at Kerbal Space Program by docking without having a target indicator to kind of aim for. I was like, here we go. And I messed it up. Yes, the 2D screen means you don't really have a proper depth perception. So yeah, bit of an embarrassment really. And then like the magnets wouldn't even engage just then when I kind of booped them together. So I thought, right, what if I switch to the lunar lander and then switch back? And then look, then the button appeared. So I don't know what I did just there. Maybe someone who like knows how code works can explain to me, like, oh yeah, because you activated this and it became a controllable thing and not just being a piece of debris in the eyes of the game, that fixed it. I don't know. But yeah, it was all fine in the end. So here we are, about to separate. Now we've separated from the Saturn V third stage. So now it's just a case of cruising our way to the Mun. I do need to do a minor trajectory adjustment though, because as I mentioned earlier, I put myself on a trajectory that impacted the Mun's surface so that when I ditched the third stage, that would crash and not be left in space, but I don't really want Jebediah Kerman to meet the same fate. So I want to do a small adjustment burn just there so that we have periapsis appear around the Mun. It's not just on a collision course. And then we can initiate some time warp and head on over to the Mun. There it is, looming into view. I think the surface of the Mun, and indeed, the surface of most of the planets in Kerbal Space Program 2, look inferior to modded Kerbal Space Program 1. But certainly from a distance, especially high orbit, they look stunning, I think. Anyway, now we're about to start the burn, the insertion burn. I think we are. There we are. I think that's the Spark engine there, playing the part of the Wolfhound, the Apollo. I missed the Wolfhound engine. That was the Apollo Surface Module engine equivalent in Kerbal Space Program 1. It was so OP, but it was great. I loved it. And there we are, circularizing. It's not a completely circular orbit. We're going to just time warp around to periapsis and do another bit of a retrograde burn. So we're on a nice circular low moon orbit. And that sort of annoyed me, did you see? The third stage didn't even impact the surface of the moon. Luckily, I was able to right-click it and press destroy, so I guess this was kind of an accurate Apollo 11 style recreation, right? Because in Apollo 11, the third stage of the Saturn V just got slingshotted by the moon and just got sent off into deep space in orbit around the sun. But yeah, there we are. I don't think there's much more to do other than transfer Jebediah out, and a page appeared there. That's definitely a bug, right, isn't it? Because I'm not playing on first-time user experience in this campaign. So, yeah, Paige just seems to show up whenever I EVA a Kerbal out of a command pod. Does that happen to you guys? I'm guessing it must do, right? I don't know what the trigger of it is, because it doesn't seem to happen every single time I EVA, but whatever, just kind of a bit of a weird, quirky bug that we can add to the list in Kerbal Space Program 2. Although that list is shrinking with as the patches roll in. This is my... Is it? I think this might be my first ever Kerbal Space Program 2 video with patch number 2 installed. I did do a live stream last Wednesday with patch number 2, but that wasn't a video. That was just a live stream and then a VOD, I guess. And then the video I did last Saturday was building a space station, but that was already filmed on patch number 1. So yeah, hey, this is my first patch number 2 video. Filmed in, this is the first video I've done that was filmed in Kerbal Space Program 2, patch number 2, that wasn't a live stream. So I guess saying the full title doesn't sound quite as catchy, does it? But I just noticed the Kerbal portraits there. We do have 2 astronauts, don't we? We've got Jebediah Kerman and the machine, the probe core that is actually flying this thing. There's Jeb. You see, that's why I didn't trust Jeb flying. He starts playing the piano. Or not even doing that. Miming the piano. During a very critical moment in the mission where we're touching down on the surface of the Mun. And there we are. Okay, so we probably had a little bit too much Delta V in our first stage, granted. The mistakes were made there. And I guess it does look a bit funny, doesn't it? Not just because of the fact that it's a lawn chair strapped to a fuel tank, but also we have a bit of a levitating fuel... not a levitating fuel tank. A levitating docking port situation. You might have noticed in the build time lapse, if you were not, if you weren't blinking at all, because it was a very fast playback speed, but I did connect the docking port to the lower kind of probe core and reaction wheel via a strut, but it seems that the strut just disappeared. So maybe I should have done something like use the actual structural strut pieces. Like, I don't think they're called cubic octagonal struts in Kerbal Space Program 2, but that's what they were called in Kerbal Space Program 1. Those parts, I could have constructed some sort of, I don't know, scaffold, but whatever. This works fine, doesn't it? And we've already established it's not a particularly realistic mission, is it? So it's fine. And then, a bit of an anticlimax now because we planted a flag and I got my custom flag worked for once. But yeah, we've planted our flag and then that's all we can do in Kerbal Space Program 2 because we don't have science gathering. We can't gather a surface sample or do a crew report. So instead, Jebediah can stand looking bored next to a big moon rock. And yeah, that concludes our surface activities. I know the Apollo astronauts stayed on the moon for a significant amount of time, but they had, a proper, insulated command pod. They had a swimming pool, they had a jacuzzi, they had a bar. We've just got a chair. So I didn't want to make Jebediah Kerman, spend too long on the surface of the Mun. But I also wanted to be docking. Well, I wanted to launch at an optimal moment. So I would need to time warp and get him, so he's in a good spot to launch, ready to dock with the command module. And then it was dark. We had a bit of an eclipse situation going on, and I wanted the video to look good, so I wanted to be launching in the daylight. So then I time warped again. So in the end, I guess Jebediah did end up spending a long time on the surface of the Mun. But now we can launch, and then, we're going to quickly exit this and pause the game and make a save. because that wasn't my first launch attempt. My first launch attempt, I started ascending and realized that I had that bug where I did not have a trajectory line on the map screen. So I had to do a quick save and then go ahead and edit that quick save to fix it and make it so that the line appeared. And as you can see, actually, you might not be able to see too well because it's not very clear, but I do actually have an orbital line there. The ascent stage of the lunar module uses the spider engine. I think it's the spider engine, or is it the ant engine? One of those two little ones. So it's got very, very low thrust to weight ratio. But when I was filming this, I didn't actually see that very, very small orbital line that's appearing. So I made another quick save, and then I opened it again in Notepad to fix it once again, even though I guess I didn't need to. So that's why you saw me create another quick save, even though we do in fact have an orbital line. I know it's not technically an orbital line, a trajectory line. I'm just not very good at the whole improv commentary thing. I need to script these videos, but who's got time? I'm on a bit of a frenzy of uploads right now with Kerbal Space Program 2. I'm still going for the 3 videos a week, which is, Space This Week, and then 2 KSP2 videos. Although it was pretty disheartening to hear that kind of the YouTube algorithm has started to kill a lot of my KSP2 videos because it detected the fact that I was getting a lot more traffic on my Kerbal Space Program videos than normal because guess what? There's a new game out. But YouTube said that they felt that it looked like unusual botted activity, and so that's why my videos are getting killed in their tracks, which is a real shame. And also really annoying. I worked so hard to create loads of KSP2 videos, and it was just a real shame. Like, you look at the analytics of those videos that I made in like the first couple of weeks of KSP2, and literally they'd get about 300,000 views in like 2 days, and then just nothing. They just stopped getting recommended overnight. It was really upsetting is probably an extreme word, but it was certainly like, oh, come on, guys, really? Like, I worked hard on these. So maybe it's just a detriment to me to be making so much KSP2 content at this stage. Maybe I should, at least if it's only temporary, go back to the 1 upload a week schedule. I don't know. Guys, 1 like down below is 1 thought and prayer for me surviving the algorithm. I think my views have started to like taper down again, like now the initial launch hype of KSP2 has faded, but I'm a bit worried. Like, once, I'm not talking about the patches now, I'm talking about when we hit major milestones in the roadmap, like when science is added, or when colonies are added, or when multiplayer is added. Will I get another boom effect again where suddenly lots of my subscribers are more interested, so they're more likely to watch the video, and then my analytics go high and YouTube goes, oh, this guy is botting again. So yeah, and full disclaimer, I'm not actually using bots. This is something that YouTube said to me on Twitter, that videos can just be killed if the system determines that the views are not real, they're coming from a computer. I don't know. It's really, I don't know how else to avoid this though. Because I guess it is kind of weird for me to kind of go from maybe 70 to 110,000 views a video to suddenly 300,000 overnight. But there's a very tangible reason that would happen, and I'm not stupid enough to risk my entire channel's existence for the sake of a few bucks. So yeah, I wonder if, like, hypothetically, if some Zelda YouTubers got to play Tears of the Kingdom early and then they released their videos, they'd probably get a similar effect to me where they go from like relatively not that high views to suddenly very high views. Would they have a similar sort of thing where YouTube's algorithm just completely stops pushing their videos after a few days? I guess this is just one of those things that we can only really speculate about. That's just a bit of a story that's been happening in the background. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you might not be aware of this sort of thing. Give me a follow, get a bit of insight into how what's going on in the background of this YouTube channel, if that's the sort of thing that interests you. And hey, I've got Instagram as well, and I've got a subreddit, Matt's subreddit. Yeah, there's me shilling all my social medias. They're all linked in the description. Anyway, oh my gosh, I've been so negative just there. Let's try and get things positive and back on track, such as what I'm doing here. I managed to dock to the command module without using RCS and without using the Lowne lazy method of docking either, because there's nothing to control the command pod with. There's no probe core and there's no Kerbal inside, so it really was docking to a dead weight there. But as you can see, it all went okay. I then EVA'd Jeb, and I think he sort of kind of glitched where he was still, like, the game thought he was attached to his ship, but he'd actually teleported away from the ship, so he was like both using his EVA pack and also walking back towards the docked vessel. But I was fine with it because it was a funny glitch and it didn't completely end the mission like some of the other glitches that I encountered pre-patch 1 and 2 when playing Kerbal Space Program 2. Like, oh my gosh, I was pushing out a lot of KSP2 content in the first few weeks, which really didn't help. But also the fact that I was playing on that really buggy, glitchy, very first version of KSP2. Oh, I'm not reminiscent about those days whatsoever. But there's Jebediah inside the cockpit, and is he supposed to have his helmet on? It seems to be taking up a lot of the space. Like, I can't see into the window because he's wearing his big helmet. Is he... I'm going to pause and just rewind. Okay, I just went back to an earlier point in the video, and yes, actually, he is supposed to be wearing his helmet inside the command pod. Is that just like a Mandela effect, or like, am I just misremembering? I know for a fact in KSP1, the Kerbals don't wear their helmets inside the command pod, so maybe that's just where I'm thinking. Or maybe it's like a glitch just for this mission. I'm questioning reality at this point, but I can't be bothered to go and investigate this properly because it's getting towards the end of the video, first of all, and this is like a whole new tangent to explore, but also it's getting late for me. It's 10 to 9 in the evening on Tuesday. I want to get this video up by Wednesday, but I'm at work from like 8 till 6 tomorrow, so like I've got to get this done, and I'm not eating yet, and I've got a shower and stuff, so you know what? I'm going to put an end card right there. There's my patrons and my channel members on screen. It's their generosity that makes all of this content possible. And you know, silver members of Patreon and above get a discount on the plushie. I'm really proud of the plushie, and I really hope you guys enjoy it if you buy it. And yeah, there's some cards on screen as well, some more videos for my channel that YouTube thinks you'll like. Hopefully they're good picks. And I think I've said everything I need to say at the end of the video. So I'm going to end the video right now. Right now.